So if you don't want your face on camera, just make sure your camera is off. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining. We're just going to go through a basic overview of SmartFind so that most of the questions will be answered in the presentation. And then, like Deb said, we'll do a question and answer period, I guess, at the end. So I'm just going to share, actually, first thing we'll do is we're going to go through a new hire process. So when we do new hires, everyone gets a SmartFind profile. Your SmartFind profile is not activated until you complete your health and safety training. So you do get a welcome email from me with all of the steps involved in your onboarding. Follow them step by step. Once your health and safety training is completed, you email the HR general email, and that will activate your SmartFind account. So until you have completed that, you can't get into SmartFind. So you go into your SmartFind account once it's activated, and you can see your profile. Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, can you guys all see that? Yep, okay. So this is our new test employee. Their name is SFE test. So this is your SmartFind profile. So you can see dates, locations, classifications, employee. These are the classifications that we use to figure out what jobs you are going to be accepting and getting callouts for. So this is your schedule. So when we set you up in SmartFind, we enter the schedule that you provide us on your profile sheet when you come into the office. So this is your schedule. This isn't your availability. Those two things are a bit different. So we set this up. So if you can work Monday to Friday, then that will be in your schedule. Again, same with locations. This will say all the locations that you have agreed to work at. Classifications. These are all the classifications that we have to choose from. Now, classifications and certifications are a bit different. So for the unqualified staff, there are no classifications. So if you're an unqualified EA or an unqualified ECE, your certification will show unqualified ECE or EA. There will be nothing in classification. So if you don't see anything in there, don't worry that you're not getting jobs because of that. That's not how the call out system works to call those people for those jobs. And then you can see your personal details in here. Okay. So that's the basic profile. So on the main page of your SmartFind profile, I guess, you'll see your available jobs, current and active jobs. So these are jobs that you're working either today or any day in the future. Your finished jobs, this one's important to make sure that you get paid for the jobs you've worked. Any canceled jobs, and then this is your unavailable dates. So these are the dates you can see here to add unavailability. These are the dates that you are not available to work. So the system does not call you on those dates. The one thing you should really do, probably weekly, I would say, is come into this profile, click on your My Finished Jobs, and make sure that all of the jobs that you know you've worked are already in here, because this is how you get paid. So if the job is not in here, you need to reach out to myself, and I will follow up with you and the principal of the school that you were at to make sure that those jobs were either completed, or if there is an issue with them, we can sort that out before your pay date. So you can see that this person has an upcoming job for Monday, October 28th from 8:30 to 4:30. So you can see what they're going to be, the position they're going to be working in, and the location. And this is the job ID. So if there's ever an issue in here with either your finished jobs, canceled jobs, or current jobs, this is the job ID that I can search the job by. So it's easy for me if you can give me that ID and then we can figure that out. Okay, so we're gonna show the difference of schedule and unavailability. So quickly we'll go in here. This is your schedule. So when you come into the office and fill out your profile sheet, these are the days that you tell us that you're free to work. So this isn't a different schedule weekly. This is just, I can work Monday to Friday or Monday, Wednesday, Friday, whatever the situation is. That's your set schedule. If you have unavailability dates, you can go on your main page here. Up in this right-hand corner is add unavailability. You click on that, and then you can enter a date that you're not available. So if you're going to be a bit not available on the 31st, let's say, and it's going to be an all-day event, you enter that. Now this part down here says on the 31st, if you click that, on the 31st, I still want to receive calls for jobs coming up for the future. If you check that, that will give you the calls still. If you uncheck it, you won't receive any calls for the 31st or on the 31st. And then you save it. Then you can go into your calendar right here. And this will show you are unavailable on the 31st. So the system will not call you for any jobs that day. If you're sick, the best thing to do is to enter your unavailability as soon as possible so that the system doesn't call you at 6 o'clock in the morning when you're not feeling well. If you know in advance that you're going to be absent, enter it as soon as possible because it saves time on the system, and then I'm not calling you as well to bug you to work. As well as an LTO. As well as an LTO. So what's another one? Oh, blocked calls. If you don't want the system to call you, our recommendation is not to block the calls from SmartFind. When you block the calls, you get no calls at all, which makes sense theoretically, but if you're not getting any calls, you're not going to get future calls. And oftentimes people will forget to unblock it, so then you don't get calls. So make sure that you don't block the SmartFind number because then you're not going to get any phone calls at all, which means you're not going to get any jobs. The difference between you blocking the call and your carrier, so your cell phone provider blocking the call, if you block the call, you're aware of the situation. Sometimes the carriers, the cell phone providers, block calls that they deem as spam. And because SmartFind comes through multiple different numbers, oftentimes what happens is the cell phone carrier will forward that directly to voicemail because it's not in one of your contacts already. So the best thing to do is if that happens, go into your voicemail and get the number that called you for SmartFind and create a contact and add that as, you know, SmartFind 1 or SmartFind 2 because there are multiple numbers. That will prevent the carrier from blocking the number, so you'll still get the calls and texts. So just make sure that you don't really use blocked calls for anything because it does create a little bit of chaos for you when you're trying to accept jobs. Okay, so we're going to just talk quickly about the difference between the app and texting and how the app works. So you can see on this page here, register for the mobile app. So if you click on that, that will send an email to your board email, and it often goes to the other box in your board email, and it sends the code that you need for the app. So the code is FFTR, which I always forget that, always. The code is FFTR. So when you download the app, it'll ask you for your district code. That is what it is. If you don't know what it is, you can click on this, get the email, and it'll list it in there. So the app, the SmartFind app is a different way of doing all of this online stuff. So you can do pretty much everything on the app that you can do online. It just seems to be a bit more compact and a little bit easier to maneuver. There are differences between the app and texting. So one question I get all the time is, do I have to have the app to be able to get text messages? The answer is no. They're different things. The app allows you to accept and cancel jobs within itself. The texting, you're sent the job and you can accept it through the text. So they are different things. You don't need one to have the other. If you want to take phone calls and not texts, you can still use the app as well. So the job shopping only happens through the app. So if you're offered, once you're offered a job, this will show up in the app. Until you are offered a job, you won't see any jobs listed in the app. So it's not like an all-inclusive, here are all the jobs that are available in the board today. It's only the jobs that have been offered to you through either the call-out system or through the texting system. So once that job is offered to you, and no one else has accepted it in the meantime, it will show up almost instantaneously in your app. You can either accept the job through the text or you can accept the job through the app. Now, one thing we've come across is that you need to remember that once you get a job, others before you have also received that job, either through the app or through the texting. So there may be some instances, which I have seen, where you were offered a job and you can within seconds accept it and it will tell you the job is no longer available. All that means is that someone that was offered the job before you has accepted that job while it was sending out to you. So it could be seconds and it could seem like you're not getting the jobs. It's not set up properly, but it's just because people before you have already been offered the job and have accepted it. Excuse me. Okay, so this is the job shopping online. This person has not been offered any jobs at all. But if there were an instance where there are multiple jobs and if it shows up on your app, it will show up in here. So you can log in on here or you can log in on your app. The app is a little bit quicker because it's on your phone. But this will show all of the jobs that you that you are able to accept if there are any that haven't been filled. So the job shopping, we call it job shopping, but it's only shopping through jobs that you've already been offered. The job shopping resets at midnight. So once the call out happens, if the job you're offered is in your app and it hasn't been accepted at midnight, everything will be cleared out of your app and it'll start fresh the next morning at 6 o'clock when the call out starts again. So you're not going to have a whole pile in the morning when you wake up, you're not going to have a whole pile of jobs sitting there from the night before because it's cleared out at 12. So you'll only see the jobs coming through in the morning. And again, you're only going to see the jobs in your job shopping app that have already been offered to you. So these are jobs that you've either received a call or a text for already. So I think the best thing to do with this as well is if you do see a job on your app and you go to accept it and it does say that it is no longer available, it's going to be fairly quick depending on the timing. So if this is, a morning call out, it's very, very busy. So jobs are going to be constantly coming through. So the best thing to do is just keep your phone with you or keep your computer open and be ready to accept those jobs. And again, with that, if you don't have a job for the morning, just send me an email and just let me know that you're looking for work and you haven't gotten anything. Because oftentimes things come in and I can quickly add people to the jobs as the call out is happening, just to make sure that everybody is getting work. Okay, so texting. So for texting, we want to make sure that everybody is set up properly if you want to receive text messages. So to double check this, you go into this, your initials up here in the right-hand corner, and go into settings. Then you're going to click on notifications. And this is how you've got everything set up to be notified. So this one, this phone number here is your mobile phone number. And then this is your provider. So you need to make sure that those are accurate and current. Otherwise, someone else is going to be getting phone calls from SmartFind. And I don't know if they'll necessarily appreciate that at 6 o'clock in the morning. So once you enter those, make sure that you turn on this toggle switch here so that you're accepting job offers. All of these, make sure they're turned on. So these are job modifications. So if a job times change, I'm not sure what job digest is. Assignment notice, cancellation notice, and reminder notice. So if you turn all of those on, it's very likely that you're not going to forget that you have a job. And if the job is canceled, you will get notification on your phone in a text message as well. So make sure all of those are on, and then make sure this is turned on. If your phone number changes, make sure that you remember to go in here. Otherwise, you're not going to get any phone calls. You're not going to get calls or text messages if your phone number changes and you don't update it in this system. All right. The other question I've been getting is, when you receive a text message, sometimes people are having trouble responding to it. So the text messages, when you respond to them, you can see here, this is kind of an example, but this job number here, when you get a text message, it'll say respond Y and then the job number to accept this job. So what you need to do is respond Y, then space, and then the job number. So if you just respond Y, you won't get the job. If you respond Y with just the job number and no space, you won't get the job either. It has to be Y, space, and then job number. The other thing too is once you have been assigned to a job, you will get a notification saying that that job is now yours. So make sure that you check your email for a confirmation, because if you don't have a confirmation, you probably do not have that job. So if you have accepted a job and you sent the text message or you went through the app and confirmed that you'd like to accept it and you don't get a notification, send me an email right away and just let me know like the school and the position, and I can look through the system and see what happened. Always make sure that you're checking your calendar as well, because sometimes depending on how you've set your profile up, which I'll show you this one in a minute, sometimes jobs are in your calendar that you haven't accepted. It's been an auto accept. You need to actively check your calendar so that you're making sure that you're not missing any jobs. So we'll look here for auto accept. This is really handy. However, there's a little bit of a risk with it in that sometimes if you forget to check your calendar, you're not going to know that you have a job. So if you're comfortable and are sure that you're going to be checking your calendar and you want to work as much as possible, if you auto accept this, my callback number is wrong, but if you turn on auto accept, what this will do is, rather than the system calling you all the time, if there is a job that you were offered, it will automatically attach you to that job. So you really, really need to make sure that you're checking your calendar to see if there are any jobs that you have been attached to. This is really good for saving time in the mornings or even in the evenings. You're just going to get auto accepted into jobs, and then you don't have to get up in the morning at 6 and wait for the call. It's just your calendar is just set up. Do you want to talk about canceling for a minute? Just gonna.
You have to turn off your mic.
Yep.
Okay. Can everybody hear me? There we go. We're going to give Kim a little break here to get a sip of water. So she's doing a fantastic job. There's just a couple little things that I wanted to add in there, specifically about the blocked calls. And I'm not saying, we're not saying that you can't use the blocked calls. I think the main point about it is that you don't receive any phone calls. So let's say today you decide to block your calls, but a week from now you had a position that got canceled. So you will not get notification of that cancellation. And that's really where we get hesitant with people using the block calls, because we do need to communicate with you if there's a cancellation or a modification in the time. And when you click off that blocked calls, that eliminates that. And the other thing is with the auto accept, if you're going to use the auto accept, we ask that you really have to pay attention to all of the details, especially your unavailable dates, because that's where it becomes incredibly important that you're maintaining your unavailable dates as well. We do have a lot of people that are using it, that are having a lot of success with it. We just have had a lot of hiccups where people have turned it on and then not known that they were supposed to be somewhere and not showed up. And you can imagine the impact that that has at the school. So we'll leave that there. And where are we moving? Canceling. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. So we do recognize that from time to time, there's going to be times when you accept a position that you can't make it to. We're just going to go through here, if I can share my screen, what to do in that case. So if it's a few days ahead of time and you have to cancel a job, then you can just go in and cancel the job, and I'll show you how to do it. I do caution you that if it is within an hour of the job starting, we do ask that you email the principal of the school as well as Kim Matheson, just so that we are aware that you are not able to make the position. Sometimes what happens is if we have a light morning and there's no jobs to fill, Kim has a lot of other responsibilities in her job, so she may move into doing those responsibilities. She obviously has SmartFind up, but may not catch that there's an unfilled job, and we have to be able to stay on top of that. So if you are unavailable, for whatever reason, you have an emergency or you've changed your mind or whatever the case is, you go into under my current or active jobs, and you'll see this little arrow. And when you click open that arrow, you'll see the details of the position that you're looking for. And you just simply press that cancel job, and that will cancel you out. The job will move from my current active jobs to canceled jobs. And so then you can look to see that it's there. So I'm going to do that here just to show you. When you cancel it, there's a reason that we're looking for. And so you can pick whichever one is appropriate to you, and then you press confirm. And you'll see that you have successfully done that. So then when you look under canceled jobs, it will have moved to there. That is also a function that's available on the app. I believe the app looks very similar to this, at least on my phone it does, which is an iPhone. So I'm hoping that it looks the same on the Android phone. So it's the exact same process. I think we've got everything covered from there. Oh, the other thing is that if you have a multi-day assignment and you're only looking to cancel one of those days, unfortunately, that is a situation where you will have to contact Kim directly. If it is very time sensitive and the fact that like you have to get out of it right away, you can cancel the entire job and then contact Kim. But we're hoping that you have enough time that you can contact Kim and she can just take you out of the one particular day of the multi-day assignment so that it can go to call out and we can find somebody else. I think we're going to move into here. There's a lot of people, not necessarily all the time, but some people that call us and say that they're not receiving jobs. There could be various reasons for that. One of which is quite obvious is that there's no jobs available. So we may be having a period of time where everybody's feeling really well and everyone's going to work and there's just no jobs available. That could be one of the reasons, or it could be that you have an unavailability date set. So that's always a good thing to double check. If you are available to work in the morning of the day that you're available to work and you have not received a job yet, just simply send Kim an email and just say, hey, this is Deb Miller. I am available to work today and I haven't been offered a job. Then that way, as things show up in the morning or come about even throughout the day, she can then give you a quick email to let you know that there's something available and hopefully get you into a last minute job. We do recommend at all times that you email Kim as opposed to phoning it. It's not that Kim does not want to hear from you. It's not that she's not a lovely person on the phone. It's just that in the short period of time that call out happens, there's a lot going on. And a lot of the time she's making phone calls to try to fill jobs that are tougher to fill, or she's trying to navigate many emergency situations. And so the best way for her to be able to balance everything is to receive emails, because that allows her to balance what she's currently doing with reading the emails. I'm just looking at our board here. I believe that we have covered everything that we were thinking. The next big thing that will be coming up that I think that there'll be a lot of questions about is, although it doesn't look like it today, we are going to be getting some inclement weather sometime in the near future. And there's always a lot of questions around what to do on an inclement weather day. So just being conscious of time, we're not going to cover that in huge depth today, but I will let you know that there's going to be a memo that's coming out shortly about that. And our hope for these sessions, especially seeing as how we've had so many people show up, is that this is something that we can do on a regular basis, where we can have people just drop in and ask us questions, and maybe we pick a different topic every month or two to kind of refresh. So we are planning on doing one that's just going to be around inclement days, hopefully sometime in November. So we will go into more details about that. And our hope is just that it doesn't snow between now and then. So I think that's it, unless there's anything else that you can recall now that you've had a moment to think.
The unavailable versus cancellation.
Unavailable versus
Okay,
cancelled.
do that.
If you
Yeah.
feel like it, because I'm not sure what you're. Okay, hold on, let me just mute my.
Okay, can everyone hear me?
Stop sharing.
Okay. So one thing I just wanted to cover, Deb talked about canceling out of a job. I've seen some situations where people aren't able to cancel out of the job, so they mark themselves as unavailable, assuming that cancels them out of the job. So it doesn't, when you mark yourself as unavailable for the day that you've got a job, all that it does is in your calendar say unavailable, but you are still attached to that job. So as far as I know, and as far as the school knows, you're still going to arrive to cover that position. So like Deb mentioned, if you need to cancel yourself out of a job, please go into the system and actually actively cancel out. And if you're not able to, email me as soon as possible, because I can cancel you out. And then I can also mark you as unavailable to make sure that you don't get any more calls that day. So just make sure that when you're not able to do a job, you actually cancel yourself right out of the job and not mark unavailable for the day. I think that's,
So there's a couple of questions. If you
Okay.
want to turn off your mic, I'll
Yep.